industry, just in general. There is a video we're going to watch. It's called Publishers Finally Just Admitted It's All a Lie. We're going to also talk about Randy Pitchford. Lots and lots about Randy Pitchford. There's multiple articles about it. So I don't know what they say in the article, but we're gonna read those. And then we're going to talk about it's official, the end of an era for Xbox Game Pass. So we'll talk about that as well. Sorry for the late start. I had a phone call to make and on hold, and I had to do some stuff. So appreciate it. Good morning, chat. What's going on? Why is my camera so goddamn bright? Give me 1 second. I gotta figure out why my camera settings never save. They never save. There we go. All right. What's going on, War? What's going on, All-Turn? Sarge, Travis, Kylo, Jason, Robert Jones, Z, what's going on? All-Turn, Cool Bama Guy, Bat, Water Bear. Who am I missing? Am I missing anybody else? Ron Slusher, what's going on? Good morning. Mr. Luke, good morning. What's going on, Dog? Everybody, good morning. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I don't even know what I did. I know we went to... What the hell did we do? Like, time warp. I remember doing the podcast, and then I blacked out, and now here it's Monday. No, I went to the theme parks this weekend. I think that was about it. Played a little bit of Helldivers, a little bit of Minecraft with my son. I think that's about it. All right, let's get to the stories, shall we? We got lots to talk about Randy. I think we're going to start with Randy. Okay, I got 3 articles. Okay, I got 3 articles. I got this one, right? And those of you that watch me every single day, go check out my new video. I know Z said something earlier. I posted a video on Friday called "Stop Buying Broken Games." Okay, and it just so happens to correlate with Borderlands. Okay, now I'm not saying Borderlands is a shit game, but I am saying the industry is shit because it's another game that came out that was broke, buggy, and unfinished. A lot of people have a conversation saying that, well, they're having fun, and there's a difference between good and fun. There's a difference between fun and finished, right? The word I want to focus on is complete, okay? Right? Complete, meaning something is done, finished. You launch it. Someone paid money for that thing, and that object that you paid for is done, right? So we have 3 articles, right? I don't know if we're going to read all of them, but I'm just going to look at the titles here, okay? The first one is Borderlands 4 is premium game made for premium gamers in Randy Pitchford's tone-deaf retort to the performance backlash. If you're trying to drive a monster truck with a leaf blower motor, you're going to be disappointed. So that's one, okay? Then we have this one, Borderlands 4 CEO, code your own engine and show us how it's done, please, as performance woes hit the game's Steam review score. This man is unhinged. He's unhinged, right? Like how this game could sell 10 million copies, but this man will not shut his mouth. Then we have Randy Pitchford snaps back at Borderlands 4 criticism, code your own engine. Okay, so that's the same as this one. All right, so we don't need to read that one, so we'll get rid of that one. And then we have Randy Pitchford addresses Borderlands 4 console field of view slider complaints. There's some dreams I have where field of view settings might affect fairness. Okay. Like, all right, where do we start? Let's start with this one. Okay, let's start with this one. Maybe this one will fill in the other ones, right? Like, I just don't get it. Like, you're telling everybody that it's their fault, not your fault. I didn't make the product, right? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't make the product, and when I put it in my PC or my console, it's stuttering. I didn't do that, right? We didn't do that. As gamers, we gave you money. I didn't give you money. I will not give you money because obviously, right? It's been almost a week. Well, not even. It's been 4 or 5 days, right, since people started playing it. Okay, and there's still problems going on with it. Still features missing that were in the game originally. Okay, And I know a lot of people look at it and say, well, I'm having fun. Congratulations. Have fun. But at the same time, shut up, because if you're having fun, it doesn't matter to you. But the people that are not having fun, they have a fucking problem. They gave money to a product, and that product is broke, buggy, and unfinished, and they want a full game. That's what they paid for. They paid for an experience, a full, complete experience. Okay? Actually, matter of fact, let me look up. This is the definition of complete. Okay? This is the definition of complete. Just for those of you that don't understand what the word complete means. Okay? Right? Is fun incomplete? No. Fun is not in the definition of complete. Complete is having all necessary and appropriate parts. Okay? 2, often used for emphasize to the greatest extent or degree / total. Okay? Finish, making, or doing. Okay? Making something whole or perfect. Okay? Now that we have that definition in our heads of complete, right? Complete. Right? Yeah, we need to define complete, Sarge. Now that we know what complete means. Now, again, this is not a Borderlands issue. This is a industry-wide issue. All games that come out are missing something when they come out. They're not complete. They're stuttering, performance issues, end game, graphics, crashing, incomplete, story incomplete, graphics incomplete. Something is wrong with the games. And then when the games come out that are not broke, buggy, and unfinished, the industry tells you that you can't expect it. You can't expect this all the time. Well, you can't expect people to buy your game all the time then. Don't know what to tell you. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Borderlands 4. Okay, Borderlands 4 is a premium game made for premium gamers. Okay? Randy Pitchford's tone-deaf retort to performance backlash. If you're trying to drive a monster truck with a leaf blower, okay, you're going to be disappointed. Okay, so Borderlands 4 is here, and Borderlands 4 is very demanding. This is, we know, after a launch last week, mirrored of optimization complaints, stuttering woes, and crashes. In response, Gearbox Randy Pitchford has been busy batting off critic regards of game performance on the X account over the weekend, although his comments not appear to have gone down as well as he might have hoped. Why, first of all, why isn't there a community manager? Why is there not a community manager for this man? Okay. Borderlands 4 is a premium, quote, this is a quote, Borderlands 4 is a premium game made for premium gamers, just as Borderlands 4 could not run on a PlayStation 4. It cannot be expected to run on too old of PC hardware, he posted Saturday. This is not a game made to run on 10-year-old PCs. If you're trying to drive monster truck with a leaf blower motor, you're going to be disappointed. Well, I have a question. My graphics card and my computer is no longer, it's not 10 years, it's 8 years, but I've updated it to the point where I would have problems running this. I only have a 3060. Minimum is 3080. Okay. Now, I didn't buy this. I'm not going to buy it. And then if I played it on console, I noticed people playing on console this week, and we're also having stuttering issues. Now, I do notice that a lot of people don't know they're having stuttering issues because they don't care. It's not that they don't notice. They don't care. Okay? So the Gearbox head honcho also posted some performance advice based on his own experiences with the game. I know a lot of you are dead set on playing in 4K with Ultramax settings and using 2- or 3-year-old hardware. You do you, but Borderlands 4 and Unreal Engine 5 are doing a lot, and for me, the trade-off is for frames isn't worth it. I also love this whole thing about the gaming industry as a whole. They decided to make it look prettier and run shittier, instead of making it run smoother with the graphics just good. They decided to make games that look realistic but run like a pile of garbage, instead of making it look good and making it run super smooth. Okay? He says, quote, I play 1440 with the setting super high, with super happy with the trade-off. Pitchford revealed among a series of posts containing various settings suggesting that, quote, if you're not a 4K stubborn as just want to have a great fun time with higher preference, please consider running at 1440p resolution. If you got a beast of a video card, you're probably fine at 4K, but if you're in the middle of the close to mid specs, I would definitely recommend making that trade. Unsurprisingly, Pitchford recommends have gone down badly in replies, calling players 4K stubborn, when they also the game struggles at 1080p in mainstream GPUs like the 3060 and the 4060. Cards that dominate the stream charts, even at a medium setting, frame rates dip under 60 frames, says fall at 1254, telling players to drop resolution to high systematic inefficiencies in damage control. Okay. He says, quote, I'm playing on a overclocked 5090 9800 X3D at 4K, says TM Paragon. He says, quote, I'm almost have the most expensive computer that you can buy commercially, and I cannot crack 120 frames without frame gen. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people look at that and say, well, who cares? Who cares? He cares. He cares. He has the highest set computer that you possibly commercially buy, and yet he can't get more than 120 frames. What that's showing is that the game is unoptimized. Unoptimized. There's articles ahead of Borderlands even coming out where Tim Sweeney came out to protect Unreal Engine and say it's not Unreal Engine's fault. He blamed it over to the developers. And the developers are telling you, well, no, it's not the Unreal Engine. It's not us. It's your systems. Okay, do you see how that works? Tim Sweeney deflects Unreal Engine 5 and says, no. It's not our fault at Epic and Unreal Engine. It's the developers' fault for not optimizing. And then the developers are like, no. It's not our fault that it's unoptimized. It's your computers. It's your computers. It's not us. Nobody wants to take fucking blame. Nobody wants to take anything, and they don't like criticism. You're not allowed to criticize, right? You just have to, you just got to eat the stuff up, and you got to accept what it is, okay? You have a shitty system. It doesn't matter if you're on PC. Doesn't matter what graphics card you have. Doesn't matter what console you're on. You have a shitty system. It's not Randy's fault. It's not the developer's fault. It's not the optimization fault. It's not the Unreal Engine fault. It's not Tim Sweeney's fault. It's nobody's fault but yourself. You were dumb enough, this is what they're saying, not me. You were dumb enough to purchase the product that they were selling you. Congratulations. Okay. It says, certainly our Nick found out that 120 frames was a long way off of max PC specs. Early Borderlands poor performance testing running the same RTX 5090 base GPU and CPU setup as the X user resulted in mere 40 frames per second average at native without the DLSS. MFG helped. A hefty dose of DLSS performance boosted the frame rate up to 80 frames per second with the odd hitch, but it's still poor showing for a $2,000 plus GPU. Okay. And as far as suggestion as the 4K gamers should drop the resolution down to 1440p, well, that certainly boosts the performance. But if you got a 4K gaming monitor, 1440 would scale exactly the panel native resolution, resulting in the pixel stretching and rather blurry image. I can imagine there's also many gamers that also made the jump into the RTX 5090 while keeping their 1440 monitors either, but there we go. It says, I spent some time at Borderlands 4 this weekend playing on the RTX 5070 Ti and the Ryzen 7 7700X setup at 4K. And I report the DLSS set the balance of MFG set 3 times decently high frame rates were very much achievable. That being said, this machine is used to 4K gaming on a daily basis, and I cannot think of another game that also requires this much upscaling and frame generation help to get above the 100 frames per second marked on the particular PC. He says, if you're gaming on an older hardware, it looks like Pitchford doesn't have a huge amount of sympathy for you, okay? And just imagine that. Just imagine that. Well, then I guess you priced yourself out of a lot of people that could play your game, right? Because if you design something for the lowest tier, you're going to have the biggest player base, right? So Borderlands, obviously, a lot of people are having fun with it. A lot of people will say, oh, the gunplay is amazing. This is amazing. But a lot of people, one, can't buy your game because it doesn't run on their PC. You basically shoved yourself out of that price bracket of people that would play your game because not everyone can afford a $2,000 PC, okay? So you got rid of that group. You got rid of the people that played on the 1 and the 4, which is fine. I don't think you should support older systems. We're 5 years into the cycle. I don't think you have to, make it for the 4 or Xbox One. But even on the Series S and the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, they are having stuttering issues, meaning you didn't optimize your game correctly at launch. Remember now Borderlands wasn't supposed to come out until the end of this month, but they moved it up 2 weeks because they were clearing the spot for Marathon, which now got delayed and not coming out later this month. Okay, and Grand Theft Auto is no longer coming out this part of the year, right? So they were moving their spot up. Okay, and now here we are. We're 5 days in, and there's been a couple of fixes and patches and stuff to fix the game. But wouldn't it be funny if they do fix all of these things by the time the 22nd comes around where they were supposed to launch, right? But instead, they decided to push it up 2 weeks forward, and now fix it for 2 weeks, maybe by the 22nd. Maybe all these problems of stuttering will be fixed by then. But then there's another problem, right? Then there's another problem because Randy Pitchford addresses the Borderlands 4 console field of view slider complaints. There's some dreams I have where field of view settings might affect the fairness, okay? So he says, Randy Pitchford has responded to complaints about the console version of Borderlands 4, lacking the field of view. Okay, so now he's attacked the people on PC, saying that if you have, your super snobs, basically, of PCs that have higher end, and you want to refuse and you have to play 4K, that's your fault, right? Not that we optimize for stuff, okay? And now if you're on console, now he's telling you field of view sliders suggesting fairness, we don't have that, even though they did have it before, right? So PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S players on Borderlands 4 were shocked to discover not only the lack of field of view sliders in the game, but no motion blur. Toggle, right? So the PC version of Borderlands 4 has settings for both. In the case of field of view, you can increase the value in degrees, up to 110 for both first-person play and vehicles use. The motion blur also can change the amount, that is also the quality. The lack of field of view sliders is the biggest issue right now for Borderlands 4 on the console. Okay, a lot of people, and I know a lot of people don't understand this, but when the field of view is like right up on your face, a lot of people get nauseous and sick, right? Hence why they want a wider, more options for people. But Randy Pitchford said, fuck you, we don't have field of view sliders. We've never had them. Wait a minute. Yes, you did, right? But now they don't. But you have to defend. You gotta deflect. You can't say, oh, we're working on it, we're doing all this other stuff. So the lack of field of view slider is the biggest issue right now for Borderlands 4 console. Okay, evidence across the internet, anything to go by, with someone complaining that it's not being able to tweak the field of view value is causing them motion sickness. Yeah, but fuck them, right? Who cares about people getting motion sickness after purchasing a $80, $90, $100 video game that you already had field of view sliders in your game, but not this one. Not this one, right? Screw you. Screw you. I'm not saying that, by the way. I'm not saying screw you. Randy Pitchford is saying screw you. Man, I've tried to play this twice today, said Redditor. Both times I get the car sick feeling about 15 minutes after the stop. Okay, yeah, it's pretty sensitive. Motion sickness and narrow field of view in first person makes me really dizzy. Combine that with motion blur, just churns my stomach. Okay, another person says. This game feels almost zoomed in and really not pleasant to play, another person said. Okay, and the reason they do this, the field of view slider's up here. Do you know why? Because if it was just a little bit farther out, it would have to render other things. And if it rendered other things, that means the quality would drop and the frames would go below the 30 frames per second. Okay? So every time you turn, it's rendering stuff, and they have to make sure that's the smallest as possible because they didn't optimize their game. Okay. There's also a suggestion that the console version of Borderlands 4 lacks a field of view slider in order to maintain certain performance levels. By increasing the field of view, you're putting our hardware under more strain and potentially impacting things like frame rate. Hey, look at that. Okay. But social media posts, the Gearbox development chief Randy Pitchford suggests one of the considerations in fairness. He says, quote, quickie, for console friends, field of view settings, Pitchford began, there's some dreams I have where field of view settings might affect fairness. I can't really talk about this yet, but I see that it's important to you, so we're looking at it. Oh, my God. Like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. Pitchford includes the vote in his social media post, which nearly 25,000 votes reveals that just now important a field of view slider is to his followers. At the time of the article publication, the option of field of view sliders or GTFO had 72% of the vote. Okay. The outspoken Gearbox boss went on to say players have no idea what the team and I were planning on how a field of view slider might affect fairness with such a thing. He added, that said, I've always wanted to comment and prioritize what Borderlands should be versus try to turn it into something it should. My hope is, or for my ambitious or addictive, not subtractive. So I'm assuming he's bringing some sort of PvP into the game, right? Because he can't speak about it. He had some plans and wanted into fairness. Now, the only thing that would be fairness is that the people that have higher field of view compared to people that don't have. So he's trying to just cut it out, right? He's trying to make it fair where everybody has the same field of view. It sounds like something's going on where they haven't announced anything yet. Okay. I love the field of view sliders or get the fuck out. There you go. Field of view sliders. Okay. So what Pitchford actually is saying here in fairness, quote, has caused some confusion. Could it relate to an upcoming PvP mode? Well, there you go. That's exactly what I would think. If so, why would the PC version have it? Right now, Borderlands 4 is a PvE co-op game. So lying about the fairness is raised more than a few eyebrows. No. Chat. Is he making a Borderlands Battle Royale? Do you think he's making a Battle Royale? No. There's got to be something. It's definitely PvP related, right? It's definitely PvP related. But if there's crossplay, that means people on the PC obviously have a better advantage over the people with console on many different levels, but field of view. Oh, man, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Eclipse says, oh, I hope so. Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Then Tim the Tatman could play Borderlands. So some are wondering if Pitchford is talking about in fairness in terms of performance of the game, giving some players an advantage. The higher field of view is more of the players can see versus a lower field of view where more stable and frames are. Perhaps both give some level of advantage. What does fairness even mean? Asked Redditor. Basically being impartial to all the players without favoritism. Fairness to all suggests that Wolf07, funny enough, is completely backwards, though, because console players aren't being treated fairly compared to the counterpart of PC, especially since some sort of sounds like a PvP mode, and the way it makes it seem. Okay, so yeah, how is this fair to PC players and also can change the field of view and consoles players can't? Fairness in PvE game, will you ban ultra-wide monitors, said the social media user. Borderlands 4 supports cross-play between all platforms at launch, so Pitchford's comments are doubly confusing. Of course they are, because it's Randy Pitchford, okay? This man is the worst thing, okay? Take-Two should look into him and say, Randy, look, we love you, we love that Borderlands, but shut up. You are the worst person to promote this game. You are the worst person to have technical issues and then talk to the actual community, right? I saw some people are like, oh, I think it's a breath of fresh air that he talks like this. He's real. Yeah, real stupid. Real stupid. Because most people, okay, just want to play the game. They don't want to be talked down to. They don't want to be called stupid or moronic because it's their fault their game's not running on the system that they purchased full price for, right? That's another reason. Don't buy day one. I understand people are having fun, right? But there is no reason to buy a brand new AAA game, pre-order or day one, because the game is still going to be there a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, and guess what? It will be working then. Because if less people buy it, guess what? A shit ton more people, okay, would then get their asses working so that game would work much faster, okay, than it is right now. The game does not work, right? People are like, I'm having fun. I'm having great. It's incomplete. That is the problem, not with just Borderlands, with many games. Hell, even Helldivers 2. Massive problems with Helldivers 2. A year and a half out, still the same problems they had when it launched. But they made 18 million copies sold. So what is their motivation to fix it when 18 million people bought it when it was broke, right? It's an industry problem. It's an industry problem, not a Borderlands problem. It's an industry-wide problem. So Borderlands 4 supports crossplay. Already read that. As for motion blur, another social media post, Pitchford told console players, "We aren't down with the motion blur and do not support it." He continued, "If you're seeing what seems to be motion blur, maybe check your television settings or whatever automatic BS it might be doing to your image. It's not us." Is that true? There's no motion blur in Borderlands in the settings. There's no motion blur. So now he's blaming your television sets and monitors. But again, the comment is confusing, given there are motion blur settings in Borderlands 4 on PC. I'm confused, chat. Is there motion blur or is there not motion blur? He just said they don't have motion blur. But then on PC, there's motion blur. But on console, there is no motion blur? No, I checked. As I hate motion blur. But why would there be motion blur on PC then? Right? He says they don't support it. But let me read it again. Right? Told console players, "We're not down with motion blur and do not support it." So it's just for console. Okay? So if it's on console, motion blur, it's not us. Okay. But again, the comment's confusing because they have settings for Borderlands 4 on PC. Whatever Pitchford means here, Borderlands 4 has got off to a big start on Steam. The approaching of a peak concurrent player count of 300,000 on Valve's platform, where it's also the most played games. No other Borderlands game has also come close to that in terms of concurrent player numbers on Steam. Well, again, I hate when they do this because I have to point it out to them. That's because it didn't launch on Steam when it came out the last time. It was like a 6-month delay. It only came on Epic Game Store because that's what they did. So this number obviously is bigger, the biggest number on Steam at launch, because it didn't launch on Steam the last time a Borderlands game came out. So Pitchford declared it's impossible to break the Borderlands 4 server. Oh, this is the thing I saw that he posted, and I thought this was fucking bullshit as well. Okay? So Pitchford declared it's impossible to break the Borderlands 4 servers the weekend, though sheer weight of player numbers alone. And he's so confident that publicly he promised Borderlands 4 won't join a long list of AAA big games that whose online systems fail at launch. What I don't like about this is that he's pushing it, saying, "Hey, let's get this as many people to come on." And I get that as a business, right? Hey guys, I bet you can't break it, right? And people are like, "Well, I'll show you." And they purchased the $80 game, right? They purchased the $70, $80, $90 version, $100 version of the game. And then they go, "Oh, look, you couldn't break it." But you already broke it, Randy. You already broke it because your game that you're telling people that I bet you can't break the game for online connection, your game is already broke because of the performance issues. So now you're advertising to be like, "Hey, I bet you guys can't break it this weekend," even though you've already broke your own game because of the performance issues on PC, on console, across the board. Okay. While Borderlands 4 is off to a big start in terms of player numbers, it's not entirely planned sailing for Gearbox. The release was marred by complaints about PC performance, also results in mixed user reviews, rating and values platform. The companies revolve around poor performance, even higher-powered PCs, and with the effect of crashing, that makes the game difficult to even start. In response, Gearbox posted Borderlands 4 NVIDIA optimization guide on Steam, advising players how to optimize the graphics settings for better performance and frame rates on PC with NVIDIA app. Gearbox then issued a piece of evidence to PC gamers, or Vice, sorry, for PC gamers, to me reads like an effort to prevent players from making a knee-jerk reaction to the game's performance as soon as they also change their settings. Please note, quote, "Please note that any of the time you change any of your graphics settings, your shaders will need to recompilate." Okay? So please keep playing for at least 15 minutes to see how your PC's performance has changed. If I bought the game, which I didn't, and I started noticing the issues right away, I would personally get a refund, right? I would get a refund, and then I wouldn't worry about any of this. And then 6 months, 8 months, 10 months from now, when the game is optimized and finished and the updates and DLCs are there, I'd be like, "Hey, you know what? I'll pick it back up," because I did enjoy it, but there was bad performance issues. I didn't want to play it. And now I would play it down the road. Obviously, most people don't want to do that. I mean, I even said it in my video when Stop Buying Broken Games. Most people that buy a game don't want to get a refund, because if they get a refund, that confirms that their suspicion of they're a bad consumer because they bought a product that is bad. And they don't want to admit that, so they just eat it. They just keep it. And they say, I'll pick it up later, right? Because there's another game that they can play. Or they do themselves an injustice by playing a game that's incomplete, broken, buggy, and unfinished, and convince themselves, well, it was fun. But it would still be fun when the game is completely finished and done and doesn't have those issues. So if you're delving into Borderlands 4, don't go without update hourly shift codes lists. Okay, we also have a huge interactive map to go with. So there you go. Right. And then there's this one. I don't know if this is the same. Borderlands 4 CEO, code your own engine and show us how it's done, please. As performers' woes hit game Steam. I gotta read this. Right? It says Borderlands 4 is here and is pretty great. That is, unless you're looking for great performance. This whole fucking sentence is ridiculous. The game is great. Take the word great. Pretty great. Take it out. Because great performance, not happening. So because the performance is bad, by definition, it can't be a great game. Because it's not a complete game. Okay? It says, I'm always slightly suspicious when games restrict reviews for a single platform. And emerged as a little telling when Borderlands 4 review program was also only offered for PC codes. The game runs decently, though on the Xbox Series X, but it's also catastrophic field of view and awful stutter prone. Quality mode also leave a lot to desire. But the problems run deeper on PC. Okay, that's another problem. There is no review codes on console. Why is that? Oh, it's because it wasn't ready yet, right? No, that's because they were trying to hide something. Because they show it on the best performance possible to sell the people that don't have the best performance thing possible. And because it looks like it runs awesome and everything over here, then obviously it's going to run great on your console. It's shady business practices, okay? Crashes and middling performance, even on 1-2-year-old hardware, despite the cartoony appearance, haven't integrated the game with also the core audience. PC gamers have rewarded Borderlands 4 a mixed review score as a result, but Gearbox CEO Brandy Pitchford seems to think criticisms aren't warranted. Of course not. He's so narcissistic that he can't take criticism. All criticism towards him is that he takes it personally instead of people just trying to tell you, hey, the game's not working correctly, okay? In a barrage of posts on X, Randy Pitchford responds to one user saying, code your own engine and show us how it's done, please, while claiming less than 0.0% of Borderlands users are reporting legitimate performance issues. He says, quote, code your own engine and show us how it's done, please, Pitchford said, in a response to a user criticizing the game's AI upscaling recommendations. He says, quote, we will be your customer when you pull it off. The people doing it now are clearly dumb and don't know what they're doing, and all the support recommendations, code, and architectures from the world's greatest hardware companies and tech companies working with the world's largest real-time graphics engines. Coders don't know what you seem to know. /sarcasm. Okay, he's the best. He is just a peach, right? He's one of the best people to just deal with in the industry, huh? Okay, so Paul Tassi here says, my man, you don't have to post through this. You're just saying you're working on it. Exactly, Paul. He can't help himself, though. Pitchford has become notorious for his X/Twitter use over the years, exaggerating criticism rather than quilling them. He shared a range of recommendations on a platform asking users to lower various features such as volumetric fog in order to boost performance. Other users point out that some of the recommendations contradict Borderlands 4's previous shared official guidelines for performance. However, quote, we had some CS work prove that through the settings tweaks, only beginning able to climb up to 120 frames per second on PC in Borderlands 4 with 3 or 4-year-old hardware. Pitchford said, your mileage may vary, but please consider using the tools available to you to tune in your own balance between frames per second, resolution, and graphic feature. Okay, so let's look at this right here. Every PC gamer must accept reality of relationship between their hardware and what software they're running is doing. Okay, he goes, we got, this is so good. We have to read all this. Good old Randy. Content creation galore. All right. We have made an amazing and fun, huge looter shooter campaign. The game is pretty damn optimal. which means the software is doing what we want without wasteful cycles and bad process. With Borderlands 4, every PC gamer has a lot of tools that balance and preference between first-person shooter resolution and rendering features, is also happy and balanced between these things. And experiencing, please tune your preference using the tools available to you. We appreciate an incredible high degree of passion and excitement where also, man, this is like a crash out. A crash out. Like, look at this. Look at this. This is amazing. I don't know if we're going to read all of this, but Jesus Christ, right? Some of you would prefer more frames per second or more features or high resolution. We have provided many tools to help you make those trade-offs. It is a mistake to believe that expect your PC between minimum specifications and recommended specifications can achieve all extremely high frame rate, maximum ultra features, and extremely high resolution. If that's the last post makes you have a negative reaction, I bet you have emotions and expectations that you'll feel that aren't sufficing attended to. I'm sorry, okay? But please accept that the game is doing a lot of running pretty optimal, and also have either accept some trade-offs between FPS features and resolution, your preference, and will continue to be disappointed. You know, I want to go back to him on the movie set of Borderlands. 100% of this man got kicked off. 100% they couldn't deal with him. At this point, I'm thinking that they actually bombed the movie on purpose just to get revenge back on Randy. That's what I think. They're like, yeah, just shut this guy up. Yeah, you know what? Fuck this guy. I'm just going to make the movie the way I want to make it. Doesn't matter if it bombs. Okay? I'm starting to convince myself on that. Okay? There's a few real issues here, but they also affect a very, very small percentage of users, and we're fixing those, and many are already on the fixed. Okay? He says, we're also doing significant work on PC performance, and, well, everything else that's coming at us, we're not stopping. If you have a feeling about the PC performance, my advice is to you not wait and to make it the trade-offs and prioritize what's important to you. If the frames per second get to high FPS, we're turning into some features down, reducing resolution, the features of resolution. Or maybe playing at 60 frames per second or even 30 frames if you have a lower-end hardware. Use DLSS. It's great. The game is also built, right? Everyone has the freedom to believe what they want to believe. And I know on the internet it's easy to find a range of passionate people who are also convinced of all kinds of things, whether they're not they true or not. What does this have to do with anything, Randy? If someone's computer is not working correctly and they hit well over the minimum specs and they're at the recommended specs, if their thing, it's not about everyone has the freedom to believe or what they believe, is their thing is not working on the actual thing. Like, I don't understand. So if you are so attached to the idea of DLSS is bad for your game experience because something is also saw and read on the internet, I'm sorry. I hope instead you would also use technology design to give you the experience you want. But you do you, and I'll keep working. The more people that play, the more data we get, and it's easier to keep making improvements. So thank you for playing, and thank you for passion. So I think this is right here is an admittance, right? That they threw out a game that's broke, buggy, and unfinished, and the more of you that pay full price for it, the more data they will have and the easier to make improvements. Well, you sold me, Randy. You definitely sold me. I will wait for everyone to buy your game and make the game so when I do purchase it years and years from now, that it will be a perfect game because of all the data that you got. Okay? If you think we have different kind of issues that is real that I haven't spoken of to here, please reach out to customer service. And I've personally done some CS on Borderlands 4 or customer service on Borderlands 4 to help out a lot of people, but it's also impossible for me to help everyone. I think you're doing more harm than good, and thank you for your passion. I know nobody posts anything unless they really care about something. From the most passionate love to the most passionate hate, you are telling me that you really care, and I feel you, and I thank you. Well, that's probably the best thing you've actually said, because the people that passionate hate, it's not hate. People that have passionate hate, that is just criticism because they love the thing, right? But I don't know. Let's go back to the article. The popularity of hardware configurations out here certainly are a challenge for optimization. There's no doubt that the way the vast variety of PC configures of some of the exasperating performance, Unreal Engine 5 has become something notorious signal to potential performance issues, fair or not. But Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney previously laid blame at the developers. Right. All right. Nothing that's tendency to build games for high-end first and optimize for low-end later, which I think has happened here. Okay. What is pretty much known not to help attacking customers for their concerns. I'm sure the vast majority of Borderlands 4 players aren't even aware of the social media back and forth taking place on Pitchford's X account, but it's not exactly a good look for the game, particularly when the previous performance guidance. Yeah, it's just dumb. Paris says the best thing right here. Yeah, this is exactly right, Paris. Exactly right. The best thing Randy Pitchford can do for Borderlands 4 is stop talking. 1,000%. I mean, we said it, and Paris is saying it. It's exactly right. Just stop talking, Randy. Like many games, I'm sure Borderlands 4 has eventually climbed up for optimization ladder over time. Starfield gained 60 frames per second mode post-launch in Xbox X as a recent top-of-mind example. However, more and more developers are following Tim Sweeney's advice and are optimizing for low-end at first. Developers who optimized for Xbox Series S first instead of after the fact reaptly hailed the systems as helping optimization across the board. Black Myth Wukong has been a pretty notorious example of the game that ignored the Series S until after the fact, and it had terrible performance issues. People loved the game. Well, you would have had a better game because they would have had better performance. Okay? I saw a title, I haven't read the article, that Battlefield 6, I think DICE or EA said this, that their game ran better because they made it for the lowest tier, which I've been saying for years. You got to make it run great on the lower tier, and if it runs great on the lower tier, then it should run great on the higher tier systems, right? So the same can be true for lower end PC graphic cards, particularly handhelds like the Steam Deck or upcoming Xbox Ally. In a world where games are living and dying based on how many platforms they can access, it would also probably behoove them, okay, developers to focus on fun, performance, and visuals in that order. In a world behoove developers to focus on fun, performance, and visuals in that order. Well, I would take performance. Well, fun, you know what? Fun is it, but I would take performance in front of fun, because performance in front of fun still makes it fun, right? If you have fun, but performance is shitty, yeah, it's fun, but you would have a lot more fun if your performance didn't shit itself, right? But they might also telemetry suggest otherwise. Previous controversial wisdom suggests that gamers want everything to look cutting edge. But the tide of the opinion may also shifting the users and spending and try to get more use of their existing hardware setups. So, I personally don't care about graphics. I mean, the games that are top of the board right now, Minecraft, Roadblocks, they're not graphic intensive. Yes, they do take, right, but they don't look they don't look like Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefront 2, right? They don't look super realistic photorealism, but the games are a hell of fun. And guess what? They're also optimized, right? They're also optimized. That's a lot to go through. I mean, we were talking for about 50 minutes just about Randy Pitchford, okay? Here's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think? What do you think about the performance issues? What do you think about broken and buggy games coming out? Should you pay for a game full price when you have to wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks afterwards? By the time most of you even care, you'll be done playing the game, right? In 2 to 3 weeks, most of you will put that game down and will not touch that game again until some other update comes out, right? But let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. If you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Robert Jones says, how much of this game is online and should be playable solo offline? I'm not too sure. Why is my camera in front of that? That's interesting. There we go. That says, why can I play Cyberpunk 2077 in Steam Deck than Borderlands 4? Are you saying you can't play it in Borderlands? You can't play Borderlands 4 on your Steam Deck? Is that what you're saying? Jack says there's a video out showing Unreal Engine's comparisons with Borderlands and Tiny among other games. The channel is Terraware. Is 15 minutes, titled Unreal Engine 5. Check it out. I'll have to check it out. I'm not going to check it out now because we got other stuff we're going to talk about. But Randy, man, he goes on this like tyrant of just keeps talking, just keeps bearing, like foot in mouth, like just stop. Just stop. I'm telling you, Borderlands 4 would have sold a lot more games if it wasn't for Randy. Here, just what do we have? 35 people in chat. 35 people in chat. Honest to God, how many of you didn't buy the game because of Randy? Right? If it's more than 2, right, there's a problem. Right? I'm one. I won't even count myself. Okay? How many people were like, hey, I was thinking about buying it, but Randy kind of made me not want to buy it? Right? Out of 35 people, if we have more than 2, I would be like, wow. Right? Waterbear says 30 Superhero Simulator is out now and only $8.99. Travis says I'll be putting Borderlands 4 down Friday to play Dying Light: The Beast. Says I'll be get day 1 free. Too many games. I'd rather have too many than not enough. But you do understand, Travis, that you would have too many, and you don't have to buy them day 1. Right? The too many games would still be there. When's the last time you didn't have enough games? Like, when's the last time you didn't have enough games to play? Especially since I know you go back and play old games all the time. Z says, isn't that the point, though? That most players just want to play it right when it comes out and won't play it in 2 weeks later, so they get what they can, and they also come back and just like the rest of us. Yeah, but Z, you understand the difference. What I'm saying is the people that are buying the game and then finishing it and then putting it down, the game is broke, buggy, and unfinished. Optimization, performance issues, whatever. People play it, they deal with it, they put the game down. By the time the game is fixed, it's like 3, 6, 8 months down the line. Most people buy it and then don't play it anymore. So why buy a brand new game that's broke, buggy, and unfinished and just wait for them to finish it and then purchase it, and then you have a better experience, right? You pay more money for less experience instead of paying less money for more experience. Sarge says, I did not buy a game because of Gearbox and Randy as a cherry on the cake. Waterbear says, Randy definitely made me not want to buy it. I didn't. I got it for free, though. Bat says both about his tweet and the performance issue. Travis says, shh, 30. Don't remind me that the Mass Effect, I'm trying to overcome that addiction. Eclipse says he didn't actually get it for free. He bought the collector's edition, and he has and it was a promised DLC. So take that what you will, what you want. Wait a minute. So Water, you got it for free? Or you didn't get it for free? Upgraded my GPU and it gave me VI Newegg. Oh, okay. Z says, what I meant was I care about playing it right away more than they care about the actual being good experience. It's bizarre, in my opinion. No, that's exactly right. It is bizarre, right? It's the only thing I know in the world that you'll buy something and then take it that it's worse product than it will be a month from now. No one would buy a house that's incomplete. No one would buy a car that's incomplete. No one would take a meal that's incomplete. Nobody would do anything with something that's incomplete. Right? The only way you're doing that is if you knew it was used and you're like, hey, does that come with the case? And you're like, no, it doesn't come with the case. You're like, I'll take it anyway. Right? Like, that's a used item. Like, these are brand new games coming out that are incomplete, broke, buggy, and unfinished. Right? And I don't care what anyone says. Be like, well, I'm having fun. Great. Again, there's a cow pasture right here, and there's shit that I can pick up because it hardens. I can pick it up and fling it like a disc. I can have fun with shit, but it's still shit. Okay? It's not complete. People are buying incomplete items and then convincing themselves, well, I'm having fun. You will still have fun with a complete object. House says it took 2 years to fix Lords of the Fallen. World says, yeah, the way the communication is, it comes off as brutally honest or severely ignorant to the fans. I think you should just shush or hush. I'm loving the game, if I'm being honest. Yeah, that's great, Worlds. I'm not saying anyone can't have problem or have fun with the game. The game looks great. I watched it. It looks fun. The game looks fun. But the game itself, performance issues, is incomplete from the company. This is the difference I have. I have a problem with the companies, not the games that they make. Right? Fan of the game, right? Cyberpunk 2077 looked fantastic. But guess what? CD Projekt Red screwed everyone over. And they made a shit ton of money, and they didn't care about fixing it until 2.5 years later. Right? They don't have to fix anything if they get the money. They take your money, and they take their sweet, sweet time. Ford says, I bought Borderlands 4 day one. Runs well in the Series X. I do wish the field of view slider was wider, though. Oh, you mean you wish they had a field of view slider? $50 meal. Come back next week for your steak. At least I got a good appetizer. Yeah, it makes no sense to me. Eclipse says, I just bought the Superhero Simulator, $10. Well, $8.99. Now that the game is worth buying, no one told me to buy it. I wanted it because I played the demo, and it was fun. It's good marketing. I'm just amazed that everyone deflects, right? Tim Sweeney deflects that Unreal Engine is not the problem. Deflects the developers. The developer says it's not our problem, it's your monitor or your computer. The customer deflects and says, well, I'm not having a bad time. You know, like the whole neighborhood's on fire. My house is not on fire. I'm like, well, that's fine. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, yeah, there's issues. And everyone's like, they think to themselves, well, I'm having fun, so it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal because the company put out a product that's incomplete and unoptimized. That's the problem. All right. Let's go to this next story. So it's officially the end of an era for Xbox Game Pass. Okay, this was about 2 days ago. It says Xbox Game Pass has been around since 2017. Over the last decade, the service has become a go-to name in subscription-based gaming, but it's also the first target for criticism. While it's not only the service that lets players pay a monthly fee to access a library of video games, it's the biggest. The service has its fans, but it's also some Microsoft Studio executives have voiced concerns about it. Okay, is this about Pete Hines again? Game Pass might as also be a great deal of players. Unfortunately, it comes at a cost of devaluing developers and their work. If the system keeps running the way it does now, it'll only get less sustainable over time. If Game Pass crashes, a lot of people are going down with it. Hold on a second. If Game Pass crashes, a lot of people are going down with it. In what way? I hope they describe the way. Because let me get this straight. Game Pass right now is bad, right? Because by this own paragraph here, okay, this own paragraph right here, the Game Pass might be a great deal for players, but unfortunately it comes with a cost devaluing developers at their work. First of all, every deal is different. This is me not defending either side. Just every deal is different. So if I make a game and you make a game, they're two completely different games. I might get more money up front than you based on what the type of game it is. Okay? Then they say if the system keeps running the way it does now, which we don't know, besides everyone gets a different deal, it only gets less sustainable over time. How do you know that? How do you know that? If more people start getting Game Pass, more money's coming into Game Pass, meaning they have more money to put towards developers to get onto Game Pass. So how would you know less sustainability over time if Game Pass crashes, right? If Game Pass crashes, a lot of people are going down with it. What does that mean? Because if they're not making money off of Game Pass, then why would they crash? Wouldn't it be better? I'm confused here. Okay, Xbox Game Pass was supposed to make games more accessible. So far, Xbox Game Pass has been most successful attempt to bring Netflix model to games. For the price of monthly fee, players get access to a library of titles on PC, console, similar to PlayStation Plus and Humble Games. The service has fueled major releases like Hi-Fi Rush, which also hit 3 million downloads despite being a surprise launch, and has been credited of giving smaller indie games more exposure. That success, however, comes at a cost for developers. A common criticism of the Game Pass has it devalues the games themselves. Expedition 33, Silk Song, those are just the two last couple games, right? Other games have been successful as well. Other games have also not been successful, which you can also look at not Game Pass and say games come out and they're successful, and other games come out and they're not successful. So which one is it? Is Game Pass hurting games being successful or not successful, or is the industry itself? How about it's make a game, sell a game? I don't understand. So excess, however, cost of developers, a common criticism of the Game Pass is that it devalues the games themselves. Former Bethesda VP Pete Hines addressed this in a recent interview. The tension is hurting a lot of people, including the content creators themselves, he said. They're fitting into an ecosystem that's not properly valuing and rewarding. We already talked about this, so I already gave you my thoughts of that last week. He says, by designing Xbox Game Pass costs far less than buying every game on the service individually. If it didn't, players wouldn't get enough value out of the subscription. The problem is that every time someone plays a game through Game Pass, that's potentially a lost sale for the developer. Stop. Hard stop right there. Okay? Every time a person buys or plays a game through Game Pass, a potential lost sale for developers. The developer got paid by Microsoft. The money that they get to put them games on Game Pass is included as the copy sold. So if I gave them $1 million and they wanted to charge $1 for their game, they sold 1 million copies. Okay? If they sold it for $2, they sold 500,000 copies. Like, they get the money up front. This is not lost. This is different payment. Like, this is so ridiculous that people think this way. They got money up front. If they're not just putting their game on Game Pass, be like, well, I guess Microsoft's holding a gun to our head. We have to do it. They're not paying us anything. They got money up front. What are we talking about here? Okay. It says, and leaving many studios with less revenue overall. Is this? No one's forcing anybody to put any game on Game Pass. They come up to you and say, hey, we would like to put your game on Game Pass. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know if that's a good deal for us. And they're like, what if we give you this said amount of money? And they're like, nah, it's not big enough yet. Well, actually, that's actually pretty good. No, I'll take that deal. What are we talking about? Right? Microsoft insists that Game Pass is profitable and has claimed that they pulled in nearly $5 billion in revenue in 2024 at the same time. However, the company has shut down studios that were also producing successful games, including Tango Gameworks and the team behind the previous mentioned Hi-Fi Rush. I do love this, though. I do love that. Look, Hi-Fi Rush was a good game. It was a good game. We don't know the deal that happened behind the scenes. We don't know what the studio was wanted to do in the future or what they had plans for, right? Maybe it wasn't a big deal, and they were like, you know what? We don't need them. We closed down. I don't know. I don't know what the situation for that particular thing. But for some reason, everyone keeps putting on this one game. There's hundreds of games, thousands of games that have come out over Game Pass over the last 7 years. And the only one game that they can show you that didn't make it and closed down is Hi-Fi Rush. It was a test. They shadow dropped it, and it had 3 million people play it, right? They don't tell you how many sales, right, where it did on other platforms or not or anything. They just, 3 million people played it. And they just keep bringing this up. They don't bring up Expedition 33. They don't bring up Pal World. They don't bring up any other game that's successful on Game Pass / other industry, other consoles. They just keep bringing this one particular game up, right? According to Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, deals with partners vary widely on deals. And I'll say all over the place, Spencer explained. It's really based on the developer's need. Right. So take this sentence here, and now let's go back up to here where they're saying, well, they're devaluing the company. Well, if they're devaluing the company, that would be the person that's running the business going, hey, we'll take $1 to go on Game Pass, Phil. And they're like, all right, let's do that deal. Shake on it. And be like, wow, they lost out money. Like, well, you're an idiot if you took that money. Okay? Each of these studios has the opportunity to make their own deal on Game Pass or any other place. Sure. Can Microsoft maybe short them and say, well, you guys are asking for $1 million, but we'll give you $750,000, right? Again, just numbers out of my ass, okay? And they're like, all right, we'll take it. And they're like, we're missing $250,000. We only need to sell this many more copies now. On all these other platforms. If anything, they're giving them less stress up front because they've took the money up front because that was their choice. Some developers get an upfront payment, while others work on revenue share basis. And that is based on their own choice. There's also usage basis deals, where payouts depend on percentage of subscribers playing a game, with Microsoft taking its own cut. That setup can also work on smaller titles without guaranteed audience. But for big budget games, it's almost certainly a loss. Again, to take these three separate things, which we've talked about for years on these deals, and this wasn't talked about before, okay? This wasn't talked about before. I said that this is what they do because that's how artists for music and stuff, how they make their money, okay? Certain deals, now they're just lumping them all in, right? To say that everyone gets an upfront payment, no. Some people get an upfront payment. Some people get revenue sharing upfront, right? Deal. Some of them get the usage deal, okay? But each of these deals, whatever deals they make, are all decided by the studio that thinks that their game will benefit or not. They took the risk and saying deal or no deal. Some developers get like an upfront. Okay, Xbox Game Pass and other subscription models have faced plenty of criticism, especially in the industry where even developers' success games are being laid off. It creates a real conundrum. Putting a game on Game Pass can boost exposure and bring in more players, but usually doesn't make as much money as selling it on full price. Show us a breakdown. I would love a breakdown. To make a statement like that, they have to have a breakdown. What game they put on, how much did it make? Please show us the data. Until then, you're just assuming just like I am. Okay? It says it's true that the streaming service gives films and games that also might not otherwise get funding a chance to exist. One of the best recent examples of this is K-pop Demon Hunters. The film became the most popular recent release of the summer, with the soundtrack topping the Billboard charts, but Sony sold it to Netflix because they didn't expect it to perform well. What does that have to do with anything? Do you know how much they sold it for? How much did they sell it for? How much did they think they were going to make off of it? How much did Netflix make off of it? Okay? Games can also benefit from the word of mouth is the same. Not every indie is big enough to crash storefronts like Silksong did, but it's easier for small titles to build the following when there's no upfront cost to play. But most games, especially indies, aren't made by giant studios that can afford the sink $100 million in development. If they lose money, they directly impacts their livelihood of developers. But how much are they getting? First of all, I don't think an indie studio's getting $100 million in development, right? They're probably getting 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, right? Maybe 50 million for their indie studio over 6 years, okay? And if they only exclusively make it for Game Pass, we don't know that deal, what they made, right? These people are fighting for people they don't know what they're making. They're like, this is bad. Is it? People have to come out. We do hear that there are people that say, it didn't do well for us. Then there's other people that say it did very well for us. Well, guess what? Take Game Pass out of the equation. Just talk about the game industry. I launched a game. It did pretty good. I launched the game. It didn't sell well. Was that Game Pass's fault? No, that's just the industry itself. Make a game, sell a game. Make a game, people buy it. Make a game, people don't buy it. Not every game is going to be a blockbuster. Not every game is going to be a bestseller, right? Not every book is going to be a bestseller. Not every movie is going to be a blockbuster. Developers aren't the only ones who also will feel the hurt. Games losing money is ultimately a bad for Game Pass too. If developers stop putting their games on a service, it values drops. If the subscription price for Game Pass has already gone up, a lot since the launch, and players may not be willing to pay even more. So let me get this straight. Video game prices AAA are going up to $80. So now we're saying that an $80 video game is worth more than a $20 Game Pass, right? Again, let me read this again. Developers aren't the only ones who feel the hurt. Games losing money is ultimately bad for Game Pass too. If developers stop putting their games on the service, the value drops. Okay? Mind you, how many games do you need to have or play to make that value worth it for you? There is no right answer, right? It could be one a month, right? You might be playing one game a month. So if they only put, let's say, 24 games a year, they put two different games a month for 12 months, and there's only 24 brand new games that came out, independent, medium size, large size, is that value worth it? You would have to answer that, okay? To say that an $80 game that comes out, broke, buggy, and unfinished, has more value than a $20 broke, buggy, unfinished game that comes to Game Pass, well, that's just ridiculous. If all games come out broke, buggy, and unfinished, guess what? The $20 value is still better than the $80 value. It says Game Pass still has a path forward. Things might look grim for Game Pass, but the service isn't doomed yet. Is it grim for Game Pass? Again, I don't know. I'm not looking at the books. They say it's profitable. Companies lie all the time. But if they say it's profitable, how is it doomed? The best path forward for Microsoft is to pay developers more. But that poses a question of where the money would come from. Do they know that Microsoft's $1 trillion company? Do they know they make money hand over fist from all these other avenues that come in? Do they think that they only spend money in Xbox through Xbox itself? Do they understand how a business works at different divisions? Right? Like, let me take Walmart, for example. In Walmart, there's the grocery section, there's the electronic department, there's the lawn care department, and as they're making money, right, one might make more money than the other, but the entire company is making money. And then they go, hey, you know what? We want to renovate the electronic company. So then they take the money that the lawn care made for the business, and they said, we're going to invest this amount of money into this to make this better, because over time, we're going to see an influx of people coming in because more people are buying electronics this time around. They're like, oh, okay. And they spend money. Like, I don't understand. Do people understand business? Where are they getting the money from? I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft Windows and technology and the servers and the cloud and all these other things make money for Microsoft. And then Microsoft decides where they want to spend that money. It doesn't matter if World of Warcraft makes $1 billion. They're not taking that $1 billion and then putting it just in World of Warcraft. They're taking that $1 billion and spreading it across the rest of their company, because whatever needs to get better financially, they're like, all right, let's invest in this. It says one option is Microsoft to cover the costs is a massive company with plenty of revenue streams. All right, well, at least they know that. And it could afford to take smaller profit to the developer and also could get a bigger cut. If Game Pass offered higher revenue sharing than platforms like Steam and itch.io, it could become more appealing to studios. How do you know what the percentage they're getting? How do you know what revenue sharing is for each company? Phil Spencer up here himself that you quoted, okay, deals with partners very widely. Our deals are, I'll say, all over the place. So again, how can you tell me that if Game Pass offered higher revenue sharing than platforms like Steam, how do you know what they offer? It's never been said. And if it has been said, quote it, put it there, say it. This person said they only got this much. Winning over developers would give Microsoft a leverage to secure more Games Pass exclusives, attract more subscribers, and ultimately make the subscription more profitable. Microsoft would need to pour a lot more money in to undercut the competition, and there's no guarantee it would actually pay off. They don't need to undercut anybody. No one's doing what they're doing. Nobody is doing what Game Pass is doing. They're the only people. There is no competition for Game Pass. PlayStation Plus is not even on the same level as Game Pass, right? No one is doing what Game Pass is doing. So to say that Microsoft needs to pour a lot more money and to undercut their competition, there is no competition for Game Pass. Game Pass is itself. No one's competent. When Sony starts to make a thing like that, or Apple starts to make a thing like that, or Nintendo starts to make a thing like that, then they will have competition. But right now, there is no competition. At the end of the day, there's a ceiling on how many people are willing to able to subscribe to Game Pass. Even the best game ever has locked into the service. People who can't afford subscriptions, don't want new hardware, or just prefer owning physical games aren't going to budge, no matter how strong the libraries get. So raising Game Pass prices isn't the right strategy. If Microsoft is going to pay developers more, they'll probably prefer a pass to bill onto players by raising the Game Pass subscription prices. That said, gamers have shown that they're not always willing to pay more, even for a great product. But they paid $80 for video games. They're paying $100 for one video game. While the Nintendo Switch was able to get away with the high price tag despite backlash, the Outer Worlds 2 $80 price tag proved to be a mistake, and Microsoft ultimately had to drop the cost to $70. That is a business strategy. That is a business strategy that most companies do. Hey, it's $80. Oh, backlash, we're lowering to $70. Like, let's see that. They're listening to us. And by the way, it's also on Game Pass. So a Game Pass price increase is more likely to drive away existing subscribers than bring in new ones. There's also plenty of great games in the service, but it also loses its value if it's cheaper for gamers to buy everything they want individually. People can only play so many games each month, when gamers have plenty of opportunities to get great games for cheap. Silk Song is priced at $20, while the cheapest option for Game Pass PC subscription is $11.99. Right now, if someone bought Game Pass to access Silk Song, they have $8. But if the price were to double, it would be cheaper just to purchase the game. And it's only $20. So would it be cheaper? Would it be cheaper to purchase an $80 game or play the game, beat the game, and then put the game down? Which would be cheaper? Would it be cheaper to buy Indiana Jones for $80 or $70, whatever it is? Or would it be cheaper for me to pay 1 month, $20, beat the game, and put it down? I think we know the answer. Okay. There's also absolutely people are also subscribed to Game Pass because they're likely having access to a huge library of games, but many more subscribers only play 1 or 2 games a month. Beating a game often takes longer than watching a movie or binging a show on Netflix. Okay. Let me break this down. If you're going to compare this, okay? If you're going to compare, beating a game often takes longer than watching a movie. Well, yeah. A movie's 2 hours. And if you play a game for 20 hours, but you're binge watching Netflix shows for 20 hours, guess what? That's the same fucking thing. If I'm binge watching a show that takes 20 hours, and then I'm also playing a game that takes 20 hours, guess what? 20 hours is 20 hours. I don't get it. Chad, explain it to me. Right? Beating a game often takes longer than watching a movie or binge watching a show on Netflix. Well, if you're binge watching a show, you're watching more than one show. A movie, I understand, 2 hours. Put that down, you move on with your life. Or you watch another 2-hour movie. If you're only watching one movie in Netflix a month, let me tell you something. Don't get Netflix. Okay? Most people that have Netflix are watching multiple movies. Probably 5 to 6, maybe 6 to 10. Hey, Game Pass is doomed if it can't attract developers. If Game Pass isn't bringing in enough money for developers, it's likely that fewer games will come to the service. The gaming industry has gone through tons of layoffs in the recent years, and many developers can't afford to take a risk on the service that might not be profitable. If Game Pass has fewer games, it'll lose value, and they'll also have less revenue available. Discoverability can also... This does not equate to this, right? Less revenue coming in from Game Pass doesn't equate to less revenue available. Microsoft makes money in other places, which they've stated up above. Okay, discoverability can also be an issue for smaller games, especially the crowd platforms like Steam and eShop. Game Pass does make it easier for those titles to get noticed, but there's also a risk that developers won't see profit even if lots of people opt in to play their titles on that service. The current model isn't sustainable for developers. Again, that is not true, because there are success stories just like there are not success stories. Just if you took Game Pass out of it, there's success stories of games making it and then games not making it, right? Game Pass, as currently exists, can survive without something giving. Maybe even it won't survive in long term. Many gamers clearly want a service like Game Pass, but Microsoft needs to find a way to make it a good deal for subscribers and developers. If developers who put titles on the service keep losing money, then they won't be long before the era of Game Pass comes to an end. That is, I don't even know what to say there. Okay, again, the games that come to Game Pass are subsidizing their total cost. Again, a game comes to Game Pass and it also goes to PlayStation or it also goes to PC. People buy it. I don't understand where this person's coming from saying that, well, it's going to fail because they're not making enough revenue. There's plenty of games making plenty of revenue off of Game Pass. That's not including the microtransactions or the season passes, battle passes, and everything else that they make from as well. I'm a little confused where this person's going and saying that Game Pass is collapsing. One, they're turning a profit. Two, we don't know the deals that are happening with all these different companies. Three, there's more points of success than there is not success on Game Pass. There is. Okay, this is just fact. There's more games that are on Game Pass that are succeeding, and they're thriving on PC and PlayStation, and they're also being played on Game Pass itself. And this notion that these companies are losing sales, they're not losing sales. They're getting upfront payments or revenue sharing or whatever else on the back end based on their own thing. So I'm a little confused where this is all coming from, but these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. Check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. All right, let me scroll back up. What's going on, Argus? Argus says they get money up front. They get money up front, and users will have to buy DLC for full price. Same with all the microtransactions of these games. Waterbear says, I've been wondering about that. Do games that put on Game Pass day one and day and date on the first-party developers, what happens with their profits? For example, Hi-Fi Rush. Let's see. Hi-Fi Rush was a good game. Successful is what they weigh, though. Commercially, it just was a good game. It didn't tell us why they closed the studio or could the number of reasons. Right. They didn't say they closed the studio down because it didn't make money. We have no idea what the deals were, where their future plans were, what game they were making. We don't have any idea with that. But people just assume that they closed it down because of that. Hi-Fi Rush is a Xbox Game Pass failure, so what's about Sony's Gravity Rush failure? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. But they only point to that one failure. Although everyone likes to say Microsoft is killing games with the Game Pass, and then the companies that have other funding and publishers, yet they still hold their hand out to Microsoft and say yes to that. The terms and deal also go to Game Pass, take the check, rather than believe in themselves. Right? Each of their companies, it's like they're making it out to be that Microsoft is forcing people to come on Game Pass. No, they approach them and say, hey, we would like to team up with you. This is the deal we were thinking. And they go, all right, we'll take it. Can you imagine if Xbox shared what they paid for every game? It was kind of as copies sold. Well, during the FTC Worlds, they showed how much money they were paying for certain games. They gave $15 million a month to Grand Theft Auto to have it on Game Pass. Okay, there was another thing that they gave. I think it was like $5 million for Red Dead Redemption 2. $5 million, right? $5 million. So let's just take the $5 million, right? Let's take the $5 million for Red Dead Redemption 2, 7 years after the game came out, right? The game, let's say, is what, $60, $60, right? So $5 million They gave them 83,000 copies sold. 83,000 copies sold a month to have them pay for $5 million a month for 6 months, right? So for 6 months, they sold another additional 500,000 copies of that game. It's crazy. Crowd says you get what you negotiate. It's exactly right. No, Microsoft's forcing them. You're going to take this deal. We're giving you $1. Like, what? Argus says, apparently, it's make a deal with Microsoft. Complain about it on your own choice later. You probably have the illusion of success and reach the Game Pass has helped them get would have been there naturally. World says, why don't we ever hear of the money studios got for Game Pass equivalent more than what they're actually sold or other platforms? Is it because they just don't, it doesn't happen? Or is they're afraid of backlash? None of our business. It's none of our business what the companies are making or whatnot unless they come out and say it. They don't need to tell you what they're paying for each of the things. Again, the FTC showed what they're paying for Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption per month to have it on Game Pass. And if they're giving them that much money for that game at 7, 12 years old, what are they making? Jack says Xbox literally funded and promoted the game Path of the Goddess for Capcom. They also made deals with Sega for the game called Metaphor. Anybody heard of it? There are also multiple ads Rand showed. Argus says success is that they also could have made more money if they didn't take the deal. That regret decision. But if it's not the case, then Game Pass as far expands any game's reach. Yeah, hindsight's 2020. If I made a deal and all of a sudden it blows up and I make a crap ton of we lose sales. We would lose sales, right? Because let's say I made a deal. They only gave us a certain amount of money up front. Let's say it covered 1 million copies. But then it went on and 3 million people are playing it on Game Pass. Well, guess what? You could say that you lost money, but you also don't know if the extra 2 million people would have played your game if it wasn't on Game Pass. Sarge says Microsoft is getting 400 million plus a month. What the fuck are we talking about? I'm taking crazy pills. What the fuck is happening? Dupla says Windows 10 dies next month. Did they announce that? Done. Z says Xbox is 8.8%. They don't care. As long as they are part of the conversation, it will be profitable for what they are spending. Yeah, Windows 11 had a huge update a couple days ago. I'm pretty sure you had to download because I turned mine off and it downloaded it. Robert Jones says Game Pass does take away from game sales, but you know that before you take the deal. Every company has to do their own calculations. But you don't, even that statement though, Jones, you don't know if it takes sales away from them. Right? You have no idea if it takes sales away from them because you don't know the deal. You don't know what they thought they were going to sell. You don't know what they got up front. They could lose sales. Z says the game industry conjuncture, or I hate the game industry conjuncture articles. What a waste of time to write stuff like this. Sarge says it's a shell game. Remember, Xbox Live is part of the Game Pass now. It's not just Game Pass. And remember, the price actually came down when they combined Game Pass and Live. 60 for Live Plus, 120 for Basic. Game Pass, that's 180. Let's see here. Argus says people already have to pay $10 every month to maintain online membership anyway. Game Pass Ultimate only costs $10 more than that. It's also already paying anyway. You get console and PC and Game Pass. World says also, what about when the game sales have stagnated and Xbox offers them money to put it on Game Pass? If that would not win for a studio because they're also making money when they've stopped. They don't want to talk about that, Worlds. They don't want to talk about that. Right? People tell you that, well, older games are on Game Pass, and that's 50% of the games on there. Yeah, and they also gave money to those people that those games weren't making money anymore. right? They do that across the board. Even PlayStation Plus puts older games on there because other companies are like, yeah, we'll put it on there. Hence why Grand Theft Auto got $15 million. And Argus says, it's not my job to give a fuck about the developers, nor the poor business decisions. They're also a single dev company I care about shutting down. More will rise up and also can survive, not to mention it on. Yeah, not to mention it only takes one single device, leaving a company completely changed and ruin a beloved company anyway. Very true, Argus. Sarge says a small developer can go on Steam, drop their game, wait to collect their 70-30 split, or and just be, or they can make a deal with Microsoft, get a lump sum up front, and then place their games on Game Pass and Steam. It was a dev that I'd rather have a Game Pass deal for $100K over taking a $100K loan with the bank and liquidate my home. Right. I share Game Pass with my son. Between me and him, using it monthly saves me a lot of money. Same, Cool Bama. I do the exact same thing. Me and my son, we share an account, okay? And I download something. He plays things all the time. He uses Game Pass way more than I use Game Pass. He's constantly using Game Pass, okay? Totally worth it because of the age bracket my son's in as well, right? He's 11 years old. Why is a third-party exclusive deal is praised, but Game Pass deal scorned? I don't know why, Ray. I think a lot of people think that they're like, well, Bethesda lost money. Well, Bethesda's Microsoft now, right? ZeniMax, Bethesda, Starfield are all included into Microsoft, right? And they're like, well, Bethesda lost money. Well, Bethesda, let's say Bethesda loses money and Activision makes a shit ton of money. Microsoft gets to choose where they want to spend the money. They're like, hey, you know what? We're making another Bethesda game. Even though the last game made or lost money, we're going to take this money that we made with our company and put it over here because they can do that. Jack says, what about some of the games or small studios are only releasing on Steam? Yeah, they make their split. That's it. Microsoft is giving another opportunity to other developers, right? Hey, you want to be over here? You can also be over here, and we'll give you money up front. Or revenue split. $444 million a month to spend on Xbox players with a few big titles. Worth it if a few stay. Yeah, they're making a crap ton of money off of that. Argus says the thing that people completely refuse to accept is that Sony had an equivalent Game Pass on PlayStation down to the T. They would also be gobbing that shit up. Everyone likes to save money and have money left over. I don't know why a lot of people deny that, right? Everyone's like, oh, yeah, the Game Pass is bad. If Steam did a subscription service or PlayStation did it just like Game Pass, they would eat that up. Of course they would. Why is everyone excited when Steam has a bundle sale or a summer sale or a winter sale? Because they're getting more money. They're getting more games for cheaper prices. They're like, I just bought 12 games. Right? I just saved $400. Jesse says, if Games Pass putting out broken games, that also rise up the price. That also the point of doing that. They'll also make you not buy games, not buy Game Pass then. If the problem is, here's the thing. What's better, right? So Waterbear said that he got Borderlands 4 for free, right? Because he got the new egg deal and they threw in the game for free type of thing. So, okay. If a game, and I'm just using Borderlands 4 as an example, right? Let's say Borderlands 4 is broke, buggy, and unfinished. It's performance issues, but let's say it's broke, buggy, and unfinished. And it's also on Game Pass, right? Someone paid $80 for that broke, buggy, unfinished game, and now the game is still broke, buggy, and unfinished, and it's also on Game Pass. Where are you going to make your purchase? Right? Now, again, we don't know the price that they would have paid for Borderlands to come onto Game Pass, but Microsoft would have paid them up front. So now they made that money up front. So let's say less people played it because it's broke, buggy, and unfinished. They had Game Pass, but they didn't play it on Game Pass. They're like, I'm not playing that because it's broke, buggy, unfinished, right? It doesn't matter because Microsoft already paid them up front for that game to come on Game Pass. Now the people that are buying it outside of Game Pass are still paying the $80. So they made the money up front. They made the money that they made from selling the actual game, and then they made the money from everywhere else that's selling the actual thing, right? If it's broke, buggy, or unfinished, it doesn't matter. People buy it, or they'll play it on Game Pass, or they probably won't play it because they're like, I don't want to buy it. I don't want to play it because it's broken, buggy. And even if it is broken, buggy, people are like, I'll give it a shot because they didn't lose money. Just like if you bought a new graphics card and they threw in the game, you're like, what? They threw it in for free. I'm going to play it anyway. It honestly feels like a psyop at this point. I hate Xbox for whatever reason. I guess. I don't know. I understand that. I understand that they have to make articles for people to click, and I understand that I'm making content off of these articles. But it's like sometimes I wonder if they don't listen to what they're actually writing. Right? To say one thing and be like, well, this is going to lose money if they don't. First of all, you don't know the sales. You don't know what they're paying. You don't know the split. You know nothing. This article is written, and they know nothing about the split revenue, the shared revenue, the what they're getting up front, how many sales they sold. They just say it's a failure based off of what I have no idea. Sarge says, pay attention to the narrative. It all has to do with the price of the games. They want you to believe that they're also losing money. Meanwhile, companies are, I don't know what that is, putting profits in their one-fourth reports, quarter reports. Yeah, it's all in the dark. They're not going to share it. Akka says, news has become too clickbaity, and they don't know anything, but what else will have to make the world is ending article. Yeah, first of all, to make an article after this, after they say they're profitable, but then say Game Pass is doomed, it's a little weird. Right? I understand if they came out and said we weren't profitable, and then coming out and making the article going, Game Pass is a failure. But they said they were profitable, and then you're coming out and saying Game Pass is doomed. All right. Let's go to this video. It's 8 minutes long. This video is called Publishers Finally Just Admitted It's All a Lie. Okay. This comes from a channel called Veteran Joystick, 21,500 subscribers. Give them a like, give them a subscribe. Links in the description down below. We're going to watch this. Okay. And real quick, there is no afternoon stream this afternoon with me and Mr. Luke. I got an electrician coming over today. He's actually coming over today to fix stuff. So no afternoon stream today. We'll be back tonight for 8 p.m. for more Helldivers tonight. But this afternoon stream with Mr. Luke and myself won't be happening this afternoon. All right. So let's watch this.
Manipulating players. In their own industry report, the Global State of Game Publishing and Marketing 2020.
Start from the beginning.
Publishers just bragged about financially manipulating players. In their own industry report, the Global State of Game Publishing and Marketing 2025 spells out the playbook: track everything you do, create frustration, maximize spending. They're so
exactly. Let's rewind that for a second. Okay.
Report. The Global State of Game Publishing and Marketing 2025 spells out the playbook: track everything you do, create frustration, maximize spending. They're
create frustration and then maximize it.
So comfortable with this shit, they're sharing it as best practice. Now look, I know most people don't give a shit about mobile games, but I had to share this first because it genuinely disgusted me how scummy this is. People Fun figured out that only a small group of Wordscape's players were
So he's using this as an example, right? What they use for mobile is now moving over to regular games. Okay.
Paying for help getting through the puzzle stages. So what did they do? They cranked up the difficulty curves, engineering frustration to extract cash from more players. And the results were the daily revenue per player jumped from 2 cents to 10 cents. That's a 400% increase just from making the game more annoying.
So now just take this in concession with what's happening in the video game industry, right? Always Online, which is a great song I created. Go check out the album. Always Online, make up the difficulty, keep you in there longer, EA has said a 1-to-1 ratio of people money spent was time spent inside the actual game itself.
Literally found the price of frustration, tracked exactly how much artificial challenge they could inject before players quit versus how much would make them pay. And they're bragging about it. This is being touted as a success story in the report. Psychological manipulation presented as innovation.
So I want to look at this for a second. Psychological manipulation also goes into marketing a game to make it look the best it could be, right? The latest one, Borderlands, okay? Coming out with an incomplete product with performance issues. Gets people to buy the actual product where you think it's going to be the best it could be. And yet they're promising you on stuff down the road, roadmaps, DLCs, and all this other stuff, right? They don't care. They're just trying to sell you the product, but the product is actually not complete. Now, again, I'm not saying Borderlands 4. I'm just using it as an example. There's games out there, Cyberpunk, 2042, Battlefield 6, that's coming out. They promote it, hype it up, and then they change it along the way. It's like a Trojan horse.
But here's the thing, this isn't some niche mobile nonsense anymore. The money tells the real story. EA makes 74% of their total revenue from live...
74% of their revenue comes from live service. Now you know why Battlefield 6 is going full platform battle royale.
Services and microtransactions. That's $5.5 billion versus $1.3 billion from actually selling games. They make almost 4 times more money from charging you after you bought the thing than from selling you the thing in the first place. Activision made over $5.1 billion in 2021 just from in-game
$5 billion just from in-game microtransactions. But no one's buying those cosmetics. No one's buying those cosmetics that everyone hates in Call of Duty.
Purchases. Call of Duty microtransactions more than doubled year over year when they shifted focus to Warzone's Battle Pass.
Fancy way of saying make a problem, sell a solution. That's exactly what it is, yeah.
And cosmetic store. Take-Two gets over half their quarterly revenue from recurrent consumer spending. This is not a side business anymore, mate. It is the business. When your entire business model depends on post-purchase extraction, of course you're going to optimize every button press for profit. They've been doing this for years and it's been hidden so well that we've mostly never noticed, or we've just sadly accepted it as normal. EA admitted to tracking every button press, movement and decision you make.
We say this all the time. They know exactly what you're doing. I used to speak about this with Bungie and Destiny, right? Another example, it says Electronic Arts, which uses telemetry data tracking every button press, movement, and decision made by a player to generate insights related to a player's engagement, identifying bugs and optimizing game balance. The results prediction in a player behavior drives the development of new game modes and features that are likely resonate with players. So when people tell you they're tired of Call of Duty and they're tired of this data says otherwise. They know exactly who's buying, who's playing, what they want, and what they do. 20% makes 80%, so the other 80% make 20%, and they don't give a shit about the 80% that's not giving them the money. They care about the 20% that's making 80% of the decisions for you, okay? So going back into stop buying broken games, if 20% of the people buy a broken game that make 80% of the money, guess what? They're going to constantly give you broke, buggy, unfinished games.
Every single input gets fed into machine learning algorithms that predict your behavior, what weapons you'll use, when you'll quit, what cosmetics you'll look at in the store, how long you hesitate before buying something. They use this data to predict when you're about to spend money and when you're about to leave. They then adjust the experience accordingly. And Ubisoft does the same. They use algorithms.
A producer of the games such as Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, Ubisoft uses cluster algorithms to identify players that are at risk of leaving and target them with personalized retention campaigns. These include exclusive in-game rewards, personalized communication, and a special event for high-value players. Moreover, the company uses A/B testing to other analytic techniques to measure the effectiveness of players' retention strategy.
To identify players who are about to quit and then target them with personalized retention campaigns. They give exclusive rewards that just happen to show up when you're frustrated, special events that require you to log in daily, personalized communication that address exactly the thing you're struggling with. They know you're slipping away before you do, then they intervene with precisely the right carrot or stick to keep you engaged. Epic processes over 92
The popularity of Fortnite has resulted in the parent company Epic Games processing 92 million events a minute, with the data growing to 2 petabytes a month. To optimize the use of amount of data, the company has built an analytics system entirely on AWS platform and uses ML tools such as Amazon and StagMaker to enable them to analyze player behavior and game performance in real time to undertake the tasks such as balancing weapons, gameplay mechanics, and identifying fixing bugs.
2 million events.
I just want to take that last part. Balancing weapons, gameplay mechanics, and identifying fixing bugs. The games come out broken, buggy, okay? And then you, the person that buys the thing, plays the thing, you are the test subject. You are the reason things get fixed. Let me tell you something. Let's remove that. Let's remove this aspect of it. Stop buying games day one. Watch how fast they fix their shit. Watch how fast they fix it. They don't need to fix it because they're watching you play. They sit there and go, not enough people are complaining about it, so we're not going to fix it. Okay? If no one buys it, guess what? They'll fix that shit real fast.
Per minute from Fortnite players. Every interaction, every button press, every store visit gets analyzed. They use machine learning to rebalance weapons and gameplay mechanics in real time based on this data. That's not bug fixing, it's psychological adjustment. If the algorithm detects you're winning too much, it can then just subtly nerf your favorite weapon. If you haven't spent money in a while, it can make sure that new skin you looked at shows up in your daily rotation. And this isn't theoretical, we've caught them doing.
Right. So in Fortnite, a new skin comes out. All of a sudden, the people that you're fighting against the NPCs, the bots, they start wearing that skin to subliminally show, that skin looks actually pretty good. They make it thinner, so it looks like it's a sweat skin. So when you play the game, you get less of a hitbox and stuff like that. This is the reason they do what they do.
It over and over again. Destiny 2 was secretly throttling XP.
Oh, this was great. I love when this happened. We brought up a big thing about this, right? Bungie changes Destiny 2 XP system after players discover it was rigged. They changed it because they were caught. They were changed because it was caught. If they didn't get caught, they wouldn't have changed it. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee you they're still doing it. But no one's checking because no one gives a shit anymore.
During long play sessions, if you played for too long, your progress would slow down without you even knowing. Bungie claimed it was to prevent exploitation, but only fixed it when we discovered it and kicked off about it. Assassin's Creed Odyssey felt deliberately grindy unless you bought XP boosters. Then,
right, they make the game more grindy, but rewarding. Well, you don't like. I know you love playing this game, but if you don't like playing it, we're gonna sell you the XP bonus. So you have to play it less. You're like, okay, I'm gonna pay more money to play it less.
Then Valhalla launched without XP boosters to avoid the review backlash. But then they quietly added a $10.
Oh yeah, I remember that too. They took it out, but then put it back in.
Time saver pack 1 month after launch, after the reviews were safely in, and Ubisoft's excuse for that was it's for the players who lack the time. Mate, you designed.
That's right. We're just helping you out. It's for you guys that have less time. It's not our fault that we made a 100-hour game and made it super grindy and you don't have the time with your mere life where you only get to play 2 to 4 hours a week, okay? And it would take you 8 months to finish the game. That's not our fault. We're going to help you. Don't worry. If you buy now, we'll give you an XP bonus.
The time problem in the first place intentionally. Middle-earth, Shadow of War gated the true ending behind what they called the Shadow Wars. Dozens of tedious fortress defense missions that could take hours to complete, unless you bought loot boxes.
Water says, helping you, help them, help us. Now give us the money.
Full of high-level orcs to skip the grind. The developers eventually admitted the marketplace undermined the heart of the game and removed the entire system, but only after they'd sold millions of copies and we kicked off. Gran Turismo 7 launched with an economy perfectly tuned for microtransactions. Top cars in the game cost 3 to 20 million credits. That's up to $200 in real money if you buy
$200. You either grind to get the $200.
The credit packs, and then they released a patch that slashed the race payouts by up to 50%, made the grind deliberately harder. They then
But Sony loves you guys. Sony loves you guys.
then had to apologize and partially reverse it after getting review bombed into oblivion. And this is just a handful of examples. We could sit here all day and talk about Diablo Immortal, Star Wars Battlefront 2, NBA 2K, even Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Metal Gear Survive had time saver packs for sale. And in 2025, they're not even hiding it anymore. They're teaching it in industry.
Data-driven success, the role data in publishing and marketing. One of the first challenges people faced after launching their game is Wordscape was converting free users to paying users and dealing with low average revenue per paying. Okay, the user advanced data science techniques revealed that although the game had a large player base, most of the revenue was generated by a small group of players who needed a paid assistance to get enough of the game stages. People's Fun used the information to increase the difficulty curve in different stages, which also resulted in more paying customers across varying levels of difficulty. The company also used data analysts to make the incremental changes in pricing for popular items, resulting in an increase in the in-app average revenue per daily active user. Okay, from 2C to 10C, a 400% increase of daily game revenue, and the publisher reinvested the money back into the game to increase the monthly active users base from the 10,000 to 2 million, while increasing the average for transition time from $2.20 to 410 cents, especially the smaller ones. With legacy systems looking to track players' behavior, consolidate data across platforms, providing higher quality customer support, automated certain processes, and even detected fraud. Doing it for you. They're making these changes for you.
Industry reports and bragging about revenue growth. Call me paranoid if you want, but it's not paranoia when they literally file patents for manipulation. Activision patented a matchmaking system
and method for driving microtransactions in multiplayer video games. A system and a method provided by driving microtransactions in multiplayer video games. The system may include microtransactions arranged matches to influence game-related purchases. For instance, the system may match you with more expert/marquee player with a junior player to encourage the junior player to make game-related purchases of item possessed users to marquee player. A junior player may wish to emulate that marquee player by obtaining weapons and other items by use of the marquee player. Gotta fucking love Activision.
Designed to drive microtransaction sales. The patent describes pairing non-paying
We talked about this on GXG like 2 years ago.
Players against opponents with premium gear to create need and desire for those items. Activision claimed it was never developed, but they spent money patenting psychological manipulation. The intent is crystal clear. EA got hit with a class action lawsuit alleging they used dynamic difficulty adjustments to manipulate FIFA Ultimate Team matches to make your expensive team play worse than it should.
Mr. Luke was telling me about this, where basically if you win, they make you lose. So your team actually, even if you're the best players, you're going to lose.
Convince you that you need better players from loot boxes or
Hey, you have the best players, but you need better players.
card packs, whatever. EA then provided data to prove they weren't using it, but the fact that the patent exists in the first place tells you everything. Unity's CEO called developers
This dude's face looks like a scumbag.
Who don't plan monetization from day one fucking idiots. He later apologized for the
This guy. Unity CEO apologizes for calling developers fucking idiots.
language, but not the sentiment. That's how these people think.
Yes, Water. That is 100% true.
If you're not maximizing psychological extraction, then you're stupid. So the warning signs to look out for are pretty obvious. XP boosters added weeks after launch. It's not accessibility, it's monetizing a deliberately tuned grind. If the
Unfortunately, Jesse, I don't have time, so when this video is done, I gotta go. But if you want to put it in, we can talk about it tomorrow. Put it in. If it fits into the schedule tomorrow, we can talk about it.
game was properly balanced, you wouldn't need to pay to skip it. Or the classic stealth patches that nerf popular farming spots or reduce rewards right after you find them. Progress that mysteriously
Wait a minute. What did he say there? Hold on.
after launch. It's not accessibility, it's monetizing a deliberately tuned grind. If the game was properly balanced, you wouldn't need to pay to skip it. Or the classic stealth patches that nerf popular farming spots or reduce rewards right after you find them. Progress that mysteriously slows the longer you play in a session. Or difficulty spikes that coincidentally happen right before the store tab starts glowing brighter. Personalized offers that appear right after you fail something multiple times. That's the frustration algorithm doing its job. But the good news is not everyone has lost their soul, and it
No. And we only go back to the one person that said it out loud, which is Larian Studios, right? This is the only person that we have hope for, where we're like, yep, the industry still has good people or person. Right? This is the only person that has come out and actually said things like, yeah, we're not going to do this to you because we believe in what we believe. Everybody else is like, how do we make that money, baby? He's like, we just make a game. Just make a game. Sell a game.
It doesn't have to be this way. Larry and Sven Vinker was brutally honest about why Baldur's Gate 3 had no microtransactions. He said that monetization would break the immersion and we'd have to design the game differently and that'd be boring. He said successful studios don't treat players as users to exploit. They make games they actually want to play themselves. And of course, BG3 succeeded massively without any microtransaction manipulation, dominated everywhere for months. Won Game of the Year by respecting players instead of exploiting them.
When he's up there speaking, I could feel the whole audience was like, this guy's terrible. He wants to give them a deal? What is this? Get this guy off the stage. Meanwhile, the gamers are like, yeah, baby, that's what we want.
Them. From Software sold over 20 million copies of Elden Ring with a single purchase price and no cash shop. The PvP is based on skill, not on wallet size. Broke the myth that you need predatory monetization to succeed. And shit, even EA can get it right when they try. Jedi Fallen Order was strictly single player, no microtransactions.
Oh, but they wanted that microtransactions. You could see it inside the game where you could change your lightsaber color and the different the hilts and stuff like that. You know, in the very beginning they were like, yeah, we want to charge for that. We better not. We better not.
Transactions, and it beat their own sales forecasts by millions of copies. Proof that the old model still works if you make something people actually want. This industry report isn't an outlier, it's the new normal. What you
That's why he's usually wearing armor. Yeah, it's to protect himself.
Used to be hidden manipulation techniques are now being published as best practices, being taught at conferences. Design the frustration, then sell the solution. And they're so comfortable with it, they're bragging about the profits in writing. Every time you buy a game that respects you instead of exploiting you, you're voting. Some developers are still listening and we should support them. Vote with our wallets. It's the only way this madness is ever going to stop. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. Please.
I mean, he's saying the exact same thing, right? I literally just made a video on Friday. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Go check out his video, or his channel, I should say. Give it a like, right? But I said the exact same thing. Stop buying broken games, okay? Broken games goes into more than just a broken game. It's about the business, right? It's about how the techniques they use to try to pull one over on you, and it's never going to end because we, the gamers, keep perpetuating the problem, okay? If you keep supporting games and game companies, I should say, that don't care about you, that sell you the solution to the thing that you're buying, right? What's another game coming out? Yote, right? Yote is coming out for PlayStation very soon. Okay, let's say the game comes out, it's unoptimized, broke, right? Unfinished. Maybe it doesn't feel right. Maybe something just feels off about it. Okay, guess what? If you bought that 1 month from now, that would probably be fixed. Right, that would probably be fixed. It'd probably be fixed faster than if people bought it and said, "Hey, this is the problem." Right? The whole line of the industry has collapsed as far as reviewers were supposed to review the games for you and tell you what was right or wrong with the game, and then everybody else was supposed to get it. But now there's access journalism. Access journalism is give this to me so I can write an article about you so I can get more clicks and this, right? And they give you a score, they give you a thing, and they tell you that this is good and this is bad, and everyone else is like, oh, I don't care what this person says and that person. They're just supposed to give you information. The information is, here's what I like about the game, here's what I didn't like about the game. You make your own choice, but that's not what it is now. What it is now is advertisements paid for, hotel stays, business trips, food, flights, and then those people won't say anything about anything because if they do, they get less access. But then there's the other middle tier people where they get the codes, and then they get the codes and they're just excited about the game because they got a code and they want to talk nice about the game because they don't know if they're going to get a code again. Okay, where they're not paying anything. They're just like, it's like not before release, it's like at release. Okay, where these people get codes and then they tell you stuff. They're like, it's no big deal if the game sucks. Yeah, it's no big deal to them because these content creators got it for free. They didn't pay $80 for it, right? Very few content creators pay for their games. Very few. Everybody gets codes, and then they can just say what they want about it because it's no skin off their back. Anytime you buy something for full price and anytime you get something for free, let me tell you something. You're much easier on the thing that's free because you're like, I didn't pay for it, so it's okay. But if you pay $80, you're a little ticked off if the thing doesn't work at launch. So you have to stop pre-ordering. You have to stop buying games day one because they are making it broke on purpose so they can fix it down the line to keep you engaged with the content. And then they're like, oh, we're listening. We hear you. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. And if you like what I do here, check out some other videos. Thanks for watching. Let's see here. Let's see. World says people also have a patience, the ability to learn from their mistakes. The grind is the reason I play AC games. I don't play AC games anymore. Eclipse says there's also people that work at the companies had some political stuff to say, and I was not a fan of. For which what game is that, Eclipse? What's going on, Roadkill? Man, I'm not having no video games in a long time. Only silver and gold. You still have that metal detector. Did you upgrade your metal detector? Jason says, dude, the Mario Galaxy collection is $99.99. Why do you do this to us, Nintendo? Because they can. And people are going to... They're going to slurp that shit up. Aku says, we had more true fans here than I expected for Borderlands 4. Oh, the new Ghost? I gotcha. Sony says they don't work for them no more. Oh, the person that said it. There was two people that said things, though, for that company. Did you find enough to buy in the super premium version of Borderlands 4 yet? I watched someone show off the, was it $150 version where you get the little statue of Borderlands, right? And they're like, oh, it's supposed to light up, but it doesn't work. But then it's broke. Then you need to get your money back. Right? The thing that you purchased, it's not working correctly at launch. Right? You didn't break it. It came out of the box broke. But people are just like, whatever. And you know why? Because I guarantee you that person got it for free. I guarantee you they got it gifted to them from Borderlands. And they're like, they gave it to me for free, so I'm not going to complain about it. But if they paid $150 for it, I guarantee you they'd be like, this is bullshit. Roadkill says nobody should go buy Go see Yote after Sucker Punch didn't even come out and say anything about never support them. That is something for each individual. Okay, I don't have a PlayStation, so it's not like me saying I'm not going to buy the game. I'm not going to buy the game because I don't have a PlayStation. But yeah, there's scumbags out there, right? Just little decency from certain people, right? If you don't like somebody or you wish harm on them, how about you just stay quiet? How about you just stay quiet, right? Just like I don't know the numbers that Microsoft pays for people to come on Game Pass, I wouldn't know your views if you just shut the fuck up. Japanese and European version, Liquid Snake are 100 times better than the U.S. trash version. Ray says Sucker Punch fired the person. This is a statement enough, unlike Obsidian Avowed. Yes and no, Ray. Yes and no. The reason I would say yes, they did more than Avowed, but no, because they stayed quiet instead of just coming out and saying, we don't think this way. You know what I'm saying? Like DC came out and said something, didn't they? But Sucker Punch didn't come out and say, we don't like this. They just said we fired the person. which just means they didn't want the backlash because the game's coming out. Did they disavow? Did they say, hey, yeah, we don't think this way. This is not us. World says, I mean, even Sony said they've been fired. No further comment. Yeah, but did they agree? Did they say, yeah, we don't like this? Or did they just say we fired the person? There's a big difference. There's a big difference for someone saying, yeah, the person's fired, and no, we disavow this. Like, we do not, as a company, we don't think this way. If they don't come out and say that, that tells me they're okay with them saying it. They're just upset they got caught. Because taking a stance of not thinking that way is better than not saying anything. You know what I mean? No, that's the issue. You have to say you don't agree with it as a company. That's what I'm saying. And they're not saying that. So them not saying that says that they do think that way. They're just mad that they got caught and someone came out for it, right? They're like, yeah, we fired the person. But, yeah. I watched someone talking about everything of the CK, and they also are like 5 people who used to work at Sucker Punch. Now other companies, they said things demented. Think about that. If you fired one for saying something and the other person just liked it, look, freedom of speech, but actions, your actions have consequences. Okay, better to say nothing. I hope you're right, Jones. If a company comes out and says we fired this person, but they don't disavow, it means that they actually agree. Saying nothing is saying more than actually coming out and saying, we don't, as a company, believe in this. That's exactly what it comes across as, Worlds, at least in my view. If you come out and just fire the one person and don't say anything, good or bad, that means you're just sad that you got caught, and you had to be the scapegoat. That person had to be a scapegoat for the company. Because there's still 5 other people. They're like, well, do we fire the other 5 other people? Still better than Obsidian and Avowed? No, it's still bad. Yes, that person didn't get disavowed or fired, I don't believe. Right? Did they fire the person from Avowed? I don't think they did. He just went dead quiet. That's the difference of freedom of speech and celebrating political violence. That's a difference, I think. I mean, you're allowed to say what you want to say, but you're also allowed consequences from what you say. Because each business is their own. You're allowed to walk around and say whatever. But if someone punches you in the face, they're allowed to do that, but they also get then a criminal charge against them, right? Everyone's actions has consequences. If I say something to you, you don't like it, you punch me in the face, it wasn't nice what I said, it wasn't nice that you punched me, now you go to jail, right? That's everything has actions have consequences. People saying, oh no, cancel culture being used by the right is the funniest thing that's accountable. I'm just saying, if you work for a company, you got to watch what you say. That's before any of this stuff happened. Most people that say, hey, I work for this, but my thoughts are my own. Oh, okay. Sure. I thought they fired the guy. I don't remember. I'll be honest with you. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks, right? Because Yote comes out next month, and we'll see if sales are good or bad. I guarantee you, when sales fail, then they'll look at it and go, well, you should have fired the other people. Or should have denounced it. Oh, yeah, no, it has likes from other people. I know that. They can't help themselves, but they say it publicly. They also ask why there is backlash. You can say crazy shit and your friends, but not in the public. Yeah, it's completely different. It's the type of shit that you could also be canceled people for, and also encourages people to do it as well, either attention or for outcomes. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, I don't think Yote should be the game should suffer because of other people's opinions, right? The people that work at the opinion. Same with Avowed. The guy came out and said something against Elon Musk, which was stupid, hurt the game sales, but he did it, right? Yeah, it's like people for. I'm trying to think of other examples of they just remove the part they don't want to listen to, right? They just don't want to hear that part. They're like, oh no, no, that's not what's it. It's because you said this. Well, it's freedom of speech. Yeah, it's freedom of speech, but like you could just stay quiet. Now you're looking like an asshole and a scumbag, right? And they're losing it. They're losing it. But that's going to do it. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for some more Helldivers. Appreciate it very much. There will not be a afternoon stream. I got people coming over to fix electricity in my house. Other than that, appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once more. The coffee's hot, the mic is on. Jump in the chat, let's have some fun. From pixel small to stories grand, we bring the magic to your hand. We're nitty tuned in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming always. Controller ready, headset too, we've got the updates just for you. From late night streams to morning plays, we cover gaming always. Laughs and news, our winning blend, the show with you, our dearest friend. Comments rolling, chats arrive, the daily grind, 5-star vibe. Tune in daily, don't you miss entertainment wrapped in bliss. From new releases, tips and tricks, the daily grind, your morning fix. Good morning, sunshine, rise and shine. The daily grind is here on time with gaming news and fun galore. We'll chat and entertain once